You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I could really go for a tasty morsel, a little something before the meal, something to amuse my bouche, which all of you French and French Canadians know what I'm talking about. It's Monday, it's 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, and you're there, and we're here, and that can only mean it's Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson, judging everybody's French pronunciations here tonight. And also tonight we have Star Trek Lower Deck continuing its 5th season with episode 4. That's so many maths. I stopped doing maths, so many numbers, but an all-time great literary reference of a title, Farewell to Farms. Somewhere Ernest Hemingway's like, finally, I'm in a Star Trek. So click on that Zoom link or give us a call at 669-900-6833. Earl is holding it all down in the Earl Green Room. Of course, as always, we couldn't do it without him. And he's doing it, honestly, just for you. He's not even doing it for me and John. He's doing it for you. So again, just click on that Zoom or give us a call, 669-900-6833.
All very well said, Ashley. A pleasure to have you back in the co-host chair again this week as we go through season 5, the final season of Lower Decks. But we're only 4 episodes in, so a lot more to go. You are on the road this week, so anybody who's wondering why things look a little different.
Enjoy the vague blob space creature possibly giving birth to Riker's baby that I am currently residing within.
Nice. And thank you for judging everybody's French. I think that is a necessary role that has gone unfulfilled so far on Mission Log. So I really appreciate it.
I have to say, I do think given this episode and some of the characters' behavior, it's just on brand this week more than anything else.
I am so happy with these characters and I want more. So before we get into the episode, let's talk to some of the people who are in the chat who have joined us. By the way, actually, before we name names, and we will name names, we were talking before the show, and not right away, not next week, not even 2 weeks from now, but soon. We want to start moving people over to YouTube. Everybody agrees it's probably an easier way to do the interface, handle the chat, do everything in one place. We will still post the link in Facebook, but it will probably be the YouTube link. So as you plan on joining us Monday nights, as you will, and beyond Lower Decks, there will be Section 31, there will be Strange New Worlds, there will be so many things coming. Just kind of put that on your calendar that you'll join us over at YouTube. So in the meantime, let's say hi to everybody who is everywhere, YouTube and Facebook and Twitch combined.
Everybody, everywhere, everything,
all at once. There's Paul Harveth. There's our very own Jessica Lynn Verdi, JLV. Let's see, there's Matt and Luke, or maybe just Matt, or maybe just Luke, but glad to see you. Oh, and Matt says, I'm sure it's Matt, should we all be doing this over in the Epicureanism feed over on Discord? We probably should.
Oh my God.
I will be mentioning food tonight for sure. There's David Takechi. There is Carlos. There's John Arminio. There's Dominic. There's Laura. There's Scott Palm. Fabulous to see you, Scott. Let's see. There's, of course, BC. Had to drop in with the Ala Moraine. Things were going so well.
How dare you?
And how dare you, Brian?
It
was all perfect. And then that happened. Threw me off. All right. Well, all of you, yes, even you, Brian, welcome to the show. Glad to see you all here. And I look forward to our conversation tonight about, well, you mentioned it already. Is this probably the first Ernest Hemingway reference that we've had in Star Trek?
Honestly, I should have Googled it. I bet it's not. I bet it's probably not. I think he's more prolific than that. But to reference Ernest Hemingway and not give correct respect to, I believe, the 57 polydactyl cats currently residing in his residence is just disrespectful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, maybe it's the only title that we've had. But I think that's very... Yeah. Excellent. Well, we will get to... Oh, I'm just dropping a note over here to to Earl, actually, in the Earl Green Room. I see that there are people already lined up.
Yes.
So, yeah. But anyway, as Ashley said before, this is your time to give us a call because we want to hear from you. We want to chat about this week's episode. Before we get to the recap, before we get to your comments, though, we want to tell you all what is coming up on Mission Log Podcasts, Roddenberry Podcast, this week. So this week on Mission Log, please do not miss our discussion about Star Trek Voyager's survival instinct. And welcome back again to Norman. Norman, yeah, it's fantastic. He was able to sit in for Equinox and Equinox Part 2, and we were like, you know what? We can just squeeze in one more. So we were very happy to see that. And Norman is actually on this week with Ashley and Earl on Genealogy, doing some coverage about Have Gun Will Travel and other vintage TV discussions over there. So please, please, please check that out. Genealogy is such an awesome show. And really, it will serve as a bookend to Mission Log because it's everything that Gene wrote before Star Trek and everything that Gene wrote after Star Trek. So be sure to check that out. Oh, and you know what? I've got a little thing to drop in here for.
We got our eyes on it. We know what's happening.
For what's coming up. So Ashley, you can tell everybody what is coming up on Mission Log Prodigy and beyond.
Well, on Mission Log Prodigy, my very favorite show. Sorry, everyone else. We know my love of Prodigy. It's dropping tomorrow. Exciting day for Ashley with Ouroboros Part 1. Don't forget that you can watch the video, of course. Why when you're here on YouTube watching the videos, watch Mission Log Prodigy videos each week on youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment. You know it. You've subscribed. You've clicked that bell. You've done all the ding-dang things that you need to know what we're getting up to every single day there. And don't miss the Trek Files for special guest, Dave Rossi, beloved best friend of everyone, Dave Rossi from Paramount.
Yes.
We discuss the early days of Voyager, hot on the heels of the first screening of the new Voyager documentary, To the Journey. And Rossi, if you don't know, has all the good stories, and he will share all of the good stories. You don't want to miss a Rossi appearance.
For real. That episode, it runs about 20 minutes. He fits in so many great stories, so many great insights. I cannot wait to have him back. So do check out tomorrow's episode.
Yes. And I mean, John and I have talked your ear off about it already, but follow all the podcasts at podcast.roddenberry.com. If you don't, we'll be so sad. You'll miss us when we cross over and when we tell each other how much we love each other. Right. And again, make sure that you have liked, that you've subscribed, that you've clicked all the possible little bells that you can. You just don't want to miss any of the content over at youtube.com/Roddenberry Entertainment, like this sick video with the amorphous blob that you're watching right now.
Right. Excellent. Very well said, as always. And I tell you what, let's recap A Farewell to Farms. I'm so in love with that title. Let's recap that, and then we will get to hear from you. We've got lined up Paul Harveth, Brandon, John Arminio, and Chris. So now is your chance. Give us a call, click on the link, join the Earl Green Room, and then we'll just chat about Lower Decks for the rest of the evening. All right? Here we go. On Kronos, former Klingon Captain Mach is stuck working for his family's bloodwine farm, wrestling the occasional targ. His brother, Melor, constantly taunts him about losing his ship and rank, adding insult by decorating their farm equipment with bones of animals that he honorably ran over. Mach has been avoiding her, but he is eventually interrupted by a call from Mariner, who drops by with an unlikely goal, helping Mach get his captaincy back. Boimler, meanwhile, is thrilled by the chance to dive headfirst into Klingon culture, even if it means risking life and limb. To restore Mach's rank, Mariner and Boimler invoke a series of Klingon rituals in front of the Oversight Council led by the notorious Barch. They start with the Rite of Unending Pain, where Mach, Mariner, Boimler, and a reluctant Melor endure high-voltage shocks as they struggle across a gauntlet of pain sticks. Boimler, high on adrenaline, is all in, while Mach remains skeptical that any of this will restore his pride or his place in Klingon society. Still, they push through the challenge, much to Barg's surprise and growing irritation. Back on the Cerritos, Dr. Miglimo is in a culinary crisis trying to impress Oh man, I'm going to mess this up all night. Clauicon food critics, Legnog and Gonald. I am so in love with those names, who specialize in judging meals across the galaxy. When they spit out his replicated dish of Mordanian beef loin and mac and cheese, Miglimo is devastated. So Tendi and Rutherford help him prepare a fresh, extravagant meal of the highest quality. When it is served, the critics again turn their noses or beaks up at the insultingly bland food and arrest Miglimo for his grave injustice, threatening to have him banned from the Great Seating Chart. On Kronos, the challenges for Mach keep escalating. The group faces off against Barg's pet Targ, attempting to wrangle it, then trim its hooves and express its anal glands, all in the name of Klingon honor. Mariner realizes Barg is being lazy and only making these demands to avoid hiring a groomer. Mariner mocks him, and the council backs her up, forcing Barg into the final trial, a showdown against Mach in place of a sacrifice. Fueled by Mariner's encouragement and Boimler's passionate speech about loyalty, Mach fights Barg and ultimately defeats him, even after suffering a violent wound himself, regaining his rank and honor in the process. So now Mach is the proud captain of his Klingon bloodwine space truck, even appointing his brother Malor as the first officer. And he just so happened to come up with some data on spatial rifts that helps Mariner determine the fissures she's detected might not be naturally recurring phenomena. But before Mariner and Boimler get back to Cerritos, there's the matter of Miglimo's incarceration on the Clauicon nest world. Upon landing at the facility, the group are offered an amuse-bouche, which Tendi and Rutherford quickly replace with replicated manure. The critics are fooled, and their secret is revealed. They have lost their sense of taste, but were too proud to admit it. Seizing the moment, Miglimo offers his therapeutic help in exchange for their promise of high-end catering. The end. All right, let me get this out right away. There are so many things in this world that I would do with the promise of unlimited high-end catering. So many jobs I would take, so much of my pride that I would swallow if I am presented with a catering deal. So I fully get it.
I was going to say, can we cast our minds back to the first episode we ever did talking about Lower Decks, where Ashley said, I hate this white guy, mediocre lead Boimler. And John said, I just don't know if this has my sensibilities in it, because I feel like these episodes this season are giving us everything we want. The minute the Cloacans showed up, I was like, did we make this just for John? It's so fun. It's so you.
in my notes, I said, again, I feel like the Lower Deck staff are listening to Mission Log because, and not just because of the focus on culinary criticism here, but another very important thing, we actually go to the Klingon homeworld and we meet people who are not Klingon warriors. You got farmers, you got to have people who are wrestling the Targs, they're making blood wine, they got to deliver blood wine, people run bars, there's musicians. We've been beating this drum on Mission Log for 12 years. Where are the Klingon nerds who make everything work while all the others are out there just being honorable and getting into fights and, blowing up other ships? So,
and honestly, Melchior, the screw-up brother, is so delightful and such a wonderful addition to not only Mission Log, but not only Mission Log, not only Lower Decks, but the Klingon oeuvre as well. Just, he's so funny.
He's great. I'm going to jump to the very end because probably my favorite line of his in the whole show, the very end, you just hear him in the background while Mariner and Boimler are leaving, and he's fallen on some of the bones that he's using for decoration, and he can't feel his legs anymore. And then he says, you just hear him off screen, I can see Kales, the original one, the one that did the impressions. So a very specific reference to the Savage Curtain TOS time. I love that. I love it so much. And again, didn't need to telegraph the joke. You just had him off screen just saying it. Thank you, Mike McMahon, etc., for doing that. I love it. This so many things in this episode spoke to me.
I also have to ask, is this the first time that we know mainly most people are called cloacans?
Ooh,
Because
you know what?
if people don't know, I need you to understand that that is bird genitalia. Like the joke is so deep on calling them that, and then if you look up the spelling, it's spelled different than the scientific terminology. Like it's, I was like, how did we get this? How did this happen?
Big
It's
thanks.
so good.
Big thanks or not to Mission Log listener and friend of the show, Barry Rice, for pointing that out. And it was like, before I'd even seen the episode, he was like, you got to know this because this is the, and here's how you spell it. And I'm like, oh my God. And all I could think is just, well, it's another alien name I'm going to screw up. So, but when he described in detail the anatomy, thank you, Dr. Barry Rice, for doing that. No, thank you.
Just watch The Shape of Water. It's very unsubtly illustrated there in The Shape of Water. Oscar Award winning The Shape of Water.
Right. There you go. Fantastic. So we have a lot of excellent comments in the chat. We will be getting to those as well. And like I said, now is your chance to call in and chat with us. But let's go ahead and bring in our first caller. There, as always, accompanied by Tendi. It is Paul Harveth. Paul, what's up, friend?
Greetings, and live long and whatever. So we're going off topic right away. We were just in the green room chatting about holiday specials and thinking, wouldn't this be some sort of weird, great holiday special? You could, if you used your mind, going back to those classic vintage kind of shows we saw in the 70s,
like the Rankin Bass. Star Wars, sure.
The Star Wars holiday special, the Paul Lynde holiday special. We have to have a band in there, and we got the guy playing the accordion over his head, of course. Yes. I mean, the Klingon punk band. There's the first time I watched this, I was like, is this funny, and the second time it just rolls you over, the Klingon stuff, starting in the Targ thing. I think we should look at getting a chain Quarks and then the chain Warrior Pit next to each other. I think we'd make some money. We could have challenges and then go over and drink some stuff and then charge people lots of money for that.
I love that line. Just I guess it was Mock saying like, yeah, that other place is a chain. Because
totally dismissing it. Boimler points out like, oh, this is where Martok, and I was like, yes, a Martok reference.
Yeah. So good.
There's so much just depth to it when you watch it 2 or 3 times, and I don't know, barely passing wind, let alone passing trial.
So good. Hey, I pass wind.
Yeah.
You're laughing so hard that you have to stop and then go back. And then my favorite that I use on the road now is experience beige.
Okay, I had to look that.
I did. I thought it meant something totally different.
Yeah.
Ashley, enlighten us.
Oh, hang on. Okay.
Experience discomfort.
I was like, let me figure out if it was. I couldn't remember if it was discomfort or pain.
No, it's discomfort.
But I was like, okay, this is either a Klingon word that's in the canon or it's something that we have to bring to the canon. And I was like, either way, Klingon is not my particular expertise.
It's from languages. The game, which I thought was so cool. It's from the game, and now it is canonized in this. So now it is part of the Trek canon because it has appeared in a Trek TV show. So absolutely great. And yeah, Experience Beige, I'm sure is going to be on a T-shirt any moment now. And Paul, I'm with you, by the way, because I watched this episode once a few nights ago, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure why we're spending all this time on Kronos. I'm not sure why we're doing all this stuff with Miglimo. But then I watched it again, and then I watched it again to rewrite the recap and do my notes, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm now in love with every detail in this.
Can I put my it's shaped like a duck, of course, like from a Chinese semi. Can I put my conspiracy theory hat on about why I think this episode is placed where it's placed?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think because it's if you've watched Rick and Morty, which obviously or Solar Opposites, which are cousins and direct siblings of Lower Decks, there's not a lot of character development. We're getting a lot of character development from Boimler specifically. And I think it's going to be walked back when we see his Section 31 counterpart, who's also kicking around in this universe. And so I think this
Ooh.
episode is placed here so early in the season, because it does, at first blush, it could feel like filler, but it serves Boimler's arc the most. And I think that's why. And then I went over to Jason Inman, who might know a thing or two about Section 31, and then I said, what do you think about this idea? He said, that's a pretty good idea. So that's my, I'll take the duck off now, but that's my conspiracy theory about why we got this episode here.
That runs deep. Okay, and we've only got 6 episodes now to resolve all that.
You can't waste a lot of time, even in a comp, which is so rude and so derogatory of comedy as a medium. But
I love, by the way, the very obvious joke that we knew was coming is that the beard just keeps growing in a little bit more every episode.
It's a crime, John. It's a crime in this episode.
Ridiculous.
It's so bad, and we're just gonna see nice people cosplaying this for the rest of our lives, and that's not fair to me.
No. Oh my God.
My word. I just needed to laugh. I can't think that far ahead, Ashley. Just the world is too complex right now that I just needed to laugh. And John, if there was ever an episode written with your name on it, I mean, but we do have a challenge for one of our upcoming callers, and I'll leave you with this. Just think about how we could accomplish this. And we know our friend Chris has got the great Dr. Miggly Moo costume.
Oh yeah.
But we need to be able to make him go.
Oh, he's got to puff up. He's got to have those downy feathers. Yeah,
do the downy feathers. Yeah. So I, on second watch, I gotta give it a thumbs up, and looking forward to further commentary from the illustrious crew, particularly the absolutely adorable. I'm glad I didn't follow the next caller. So
none of us will live up to the hype.
Yes.
No, not at all.
Always enjoy you guys.
Paul, thanks so much. Take care. Have a great night.
Bye, Paul.
Yeah. Bye.
Good. Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. Well, I mean, with an introduction like that, Brandon, come on in because you've got a guest.
Hi. Yeah, no, I have baby duty here, and I just want to say that was really sweet, Paul. I think you're adorable too.
Yeah.
No, I've got him here with me, and I think he's very excited watching you guys on the screen. Last time, actually, right after he's waving and clapping. Right after I signed out, he was waving at you, John, on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah, he's very excited by people on screens.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect
So
prime
adorable.
for Starfleet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I mean, I guess I'll stop talking about the baby and I'll talk about the show. We got time. I liked this episode a lot, and I wanted to call out, there's something about, it was hard for me to place what I really liked about the title sequence that they did this time. Just the sort of peaceful, and I guess it's that I don't think about like B-roll footage very much when it comes to animated shows. And it was really good sort of scene setting of definitely not what we think of with Kronos. Kronos has always been, matte paintings of metallic spires and stuff like that, but they've got to get the gach from somewhere.
Someone smarter than me will know exactly what they are referencing, but it gave me kind of Legends of the Fall. Like it's obviously something Western American that my Yellowstone flooded brain can't pull right now, but it was actually like startlingly beautiful. And the cover of the theme music I thought was like really lovely as well.
Yeah.
The music was so good. The setting was so good. As soon as we pushed in on Mach and he's in the hat and he's in the field there, I was thinking about Family, the TNG episode Family, where you get Picard going back home and he's got the hat on and he's that kind of stuck in my head. But then I thought, well, we didn't really see vistas like that, I don't think, and we didn't hear music quite like that. So yeah, to me, it was referencing something that I wasn't quite tuned into. But please drop your comments in the
someone's screaming at their phone right now. Where
right,
you idiots!
That's why we're here.
I feel the same way. I couldn't place it either, but I was like, this feels familiar. Like this is calling something up for me.
Yeah.
And I like this look, and I like that we're getting more and more of this kind of thing in some of the newer Star Treks as we get like deeper looks into these previously monocultures.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the chain earlier, about that one's a chain. And I like just sort of seeing that it's not all, because you guys have talked on Mission Log before about how the monoculture, like Klingon monoculture just wouldn't work, right?
Right. Yeah. They can't. They wouldn't be self-sustaining at all. Yeah.
And
now we're going to talk about Star Wars and their use of monobiomes.
Right.
Yes.
Even more irritating somehow.
Yes. And I think they show us a couple things. So they're showing us not only just like, okay, the culture is not totally monolithic, but also just like we had in Strange New Worlds, the episode with the Vulcans that showed us that the Vulcans are not at all what they tell you they are. Like they can be totally illogical. They can totally let emotion govern themselves. Klingons, same thing. You have this guy in charge, Barg, who is 100% petty. Yeah. He is petty. He is dishonorable. Yeah. He's just a whiny bureaucrat who failed up. And
Barg meet Gowron, Gowron meet Barg. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he even had kind of a Gowron look.
He did. Yeah.
I wonder if they were like, well, we can't use Gowron, obviously, but what if it was Gowron Part 2? And I really loved that they keep sort of showing us that, like, if you have this single thing that you claim is your identity, you're probably full of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because that just doesn't.
Exactly.
I think that was my big takeaway. I will echo Paul and say I also liked this episode. I can't put my finger on exactly what it was that I liked about the episode. I think it's just how it was done. Because the message wasn't all that new. For Lower Decks, because a couple seasons ago we got the team strength comes in, everybody bringing something different to the table. But yeah, I liked it. I really liked his big brother too. That might have been it. Like that, just having that character there who was just not bought into all of the Klingon stuff we've always seen, was just very interesting. And I also liked the band. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the band was great. Yeah. When I watched it the first time, and I thought, okay, well, right, yeah, of course. Just like that, I thought, well, are we really doing the strength from the team story? Is that all we're really doing? And then I thought, well, no, I like what you're saying here much better, which is the more interesting part is the sort of the artificial character that we have with both Barg and our bird critics is that it's a facade. Yeah, see, you get it. I'm rambling here. And
look, and he's even eating to illustrate the point. So
exactly.
It's on us to pick it up.
Exactly. He understands. Brandon, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you so much.
Both of you. Take care. Bye.
Bye,
Gabe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Hey, before we do our quick mid-show business, and we do have some callers lined up who we're going to get to here momentarily, there are some comments in the chat here that I really feel like I need to address.
That's so serious.
It is. It's serious stuff because I'm about to share something of myself with our audience here. Okay. First of all, well, Jem says instead of Michelin stars, do restaurants get Cloacan stars in the Federation? Yes, probably. And I totally kept thinking about these guys as a couple of Michelin, although they're top secret. We don't know who the Michelin judges are, but that whole thing is very weird and controversial. And I don't get it, but it is very interesting to me. And what's really interesting to me is watching documentaries about chefs who chase Michelin stars and the stuff that they go through to try to get it. And
we're a Boiling Point fan, the Gordon Ramsay breakout doc from 1990.
Oh, there we go. And I would also encourage people to watch a documentary about Michel Roux and his restaurant, Gavroche, closed, but he's been doing other very cool stuff. But it's tragic. Like they get 2 stars and then they get demoted to 1, and it's terrible, Yeah, but they still got that star. All right, but here's the more important thing here. Somebody asked, and I need to find it. Yeah, here we go. Mark said, John, do you have that gold, silver, the tableware rollout utensil kit? Okay.
Are we all going in on this for John as a Christmas gift?
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't have that, and they're not gold, but I do like to go to a food festival or two, during the year, right? And I thought it is very wasteful every time you go to a place, and like, I will try that, and then you get the plastic and you got to unwrap it and throw it away or whatever. Like, no. So I got a little kit that has, stainless steel cutlery. So now if I go to a food festival, go to Disneyland, whatever, I'm using that. And yeah, I'm opening up that kit. I'm very proud of that little kit. And then I added to it in Galaxy's Edge, and I got their Star Wars themed one as well. So yeah.
John, I will make you feel better. You're not alone. Mine are bamboo, so they're the slightly more hippy dippy version, but they come in a nice little case.
But you get it. They come with the case, and I love that. I love that. All right, good. I'm not alone. Excellent. Brandon says, but does yours have a tiny beak? No, it does not.
Not yet.
But not yet. I'm sure that I could make it happen. Hey, we've got a few people standing by to chat with us. We've got John Arminio, we've got Chris, we got Alan, we got Cherie. But very quickly, let's tell people what is coming up in Patreon and Discord. Actually, we had a very cool thing happen last week in Discord.
Tell me.
We had a top secret screening. It's so secret, I can't even tell you here publicly, like on air, what it was. Yeah. Because, we just, we're kind of playing fast and loose here with ownership and copyright and stuff. But let me just remind all of you that it was very cool and is the kind of thing that we would like to do again. So if you missed out on last week's and you haven't joined us in Discord yet, well, if you're a Patreon member, then you already have access to Discord. So let us know if you haven't signed in yet. If you have not joined us on Patreon yet, what are you waiting for? Because that is your key. Yeah, you get early access to shows. You get the unedited ramblings of completely insane people like me and Norman and our very special guests. But most importantly, you get access to the Mission Log Discord. And that is where all the fun happens because it's 24/7 chat. But our live events literally like all week long. And Ashley, I think you got the list there of what's happening in our live chats. So much going on. Why don't you share with the audience what's there?
Okay, so just some of the live channels. International chat. As someone currently in probably an international location, I extra support this chat this week. Twilight Zone. Mission Log After Dark. That's where we go and talk more about cloacas.
Yeah. Or not. We don't have to.
Look, the phrase cloaca star evokes a certain image for me that I will never get past.
Oh, dear.
So we can talk more about that. Babylon 5 chat, especially if you want more Norman, you got to go do all things Babylon 5 at all times. And let me tell you, he's always raring for a fight. So go there and fight with him politely, in a friendly. That's what you think of when you think of Norman. You think of conflicts. Kontiki, which is Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, some other time in another time zone that I couldn't possibly tell you about.
Right. Hosted by our very own Paul Harveth. So that's a great place to hang out. And then, Bondatory. So I think there's one last Bondatory coming up. That'll be Q Branch. And then a little bit of time off. Then what are we switching to?
The Battlestar Galactica, which honestly, such a clear tie to the world of Star, more than Bond, arguably, even though we know Ashley loves James Bond.
Well, and that's what I love about our Discord. It's just like everybody who goes, we're all fans of Star Trek, but we're all fans of other stuff. And we have a whole thread there about Westerns. And I love that because I want to watch all kinds of different stuff, and to hear recommendations and deep chats about Westerns, I love that. So if you're missing out, patreon.com/missionlog. That is how you join us, and that is how you get your private link to our Discord, and we will see you there. And by the way, in the chat earlier, Dom said something about congratulations to all of us here at Roddenberry dropping the X platform, FKA Twitter. Something that is important to mention here is that what I love about our Discord is that it is private and it is moderated. So if you're tired of all the noise of other platforms, like, this is a really great place to go. So I hope we see you there, patreon.com/missionlog. All right, back to the show. And back to our next caller, who is John Arminio. All right, John, welcome.
John, come
Hi.
make us look dumb.
Oh, after this week, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty dumb. Like, my brain has just leaked out through my toes. Well, everybody was debating about the references in the opening title sequence. I think that's a reference to Unforgiven. Because there's a scene where we meet Clint Eastwood and he's pig farming, and the pig is giving him the runaround and even sort of like hits him in the butt, and he falls in his face in the mud. It might be also a reference to Shane, but I'm guessing it's Unforgiven, especially because
if it's Shane, though, what a missed opportunity at the end to be like, boy blur, and then have him slump over and decide if he's dead or not.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, I'll reference classic westerns all day.
Nice.
Yeah, but for me, just that Klingon band just like spoke to me immediately, like a heavy metal Klingon band. Just
They ruled.
like I could not be more spoken to. Wow.
They said, we're sorry for the K-pop in Strange New Worlds. We fixed it.
Right.
Here you are.
Yeah.
But wait, and I meant to put it in my notes and I forgot to. Last week we got introduced to the vibe tubes.
Your favorite.
Yeah. But what was the instrument in this, in the Klingon acid rock band? They had some cool, very Trekky sounding, but also very lower deck sounding instrument.
It sounded something that was like theremin, but it wasn't a theremin.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat, you can drop it.
Again, people are
Yeah.
screaming at their phones.
Right. I live for that.
And just and it seems like Klingon is the perfect language for death and black metal. Like it
already sounds like this.
Yes.
You're giving very Dr. Claw. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. We got it. Brandon, to the rescue. Thrash flute or thrash lute.
Thrash lute.
Perfect.
Thrash lute. That's it.
They said, what is the most delicate sounding instrument and how do we make it Klingon?
Yes.
Thrash.
And it's very appropriate because thrash metal bands have the same hygiene regimen as Klingon warriors. So it works.
Well, we just lost a huge part of our demographic, John. Just by
The
that
Bay
comment.
Area thrash scene?
Yeah,
Come
we
at
did.
me, Exodus fans.
We did.
Look, you joke, but you know that Venn diagram crosses over a lot more than you might think at first blush.
I'm in that Venn diagram.
You're the
right.
center of it. You're holding it together.
Yeah. I don't know how much this episode consciously did this, but to me, Ma just seemed to be suffering from depression.
Yeah.
And things that would normally bring him joy, he just consciously eschewed from his life, or like refused to acknowledge that they can bring him joy. And it took, his friends a lot of effort to sort of like bring him out of that and reintroduce him to things that they know he enjoyed and took meaning from. And it took a lot of effort, and even if he kept pushing them away, they were like, no, you need this thing. It's worth going through 8 rounds of pain sticks to get through this like hard bit of your life that you're going through. And I really like the idea that maybe sometimes the greatest challenge of a Klingon warrior's life is what's going on in here and not like you with that can be attacked with a bat'leth or a bird of prey or something.
That's a beautiful philosophy.
Yeah.
That's so well said. It's not about the thing that you can kill with a bat'leth.
Yeah.
It's about what's in your wait, do Klingons have two hearts? I can't remember. I know they have some
They do
redundant
have very,
organs.
very many backup organs. This
They
is
do.
also how you know that John Arminio is a deep cut comic book nerd, because that is the Superman sort of conundrum of it all. It's like, well, you've got to give him something that he can't punch to death. So when Pa Kent dies of a heart attack,
Yeah.
it's really meaningful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, in a very Star Trek way, I can't remember who said it, but people who say Superman is boring are usually people who haven't read any Superman comics. But for me, the cliche is that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is largely true often. But what if the most powerful person on the planet was also the kindest?
Yeah.
And that's what makes me fascinated with Superman. And I think in so many ways we see Starfleet come in as like the most technologically advanced, powerful civilization, but they're also the most morally upright, at least when we have like a Kirk or Picard as our protagonist. And I think that is fuel for stories that can give us hope. And right now we could use that.
Man,
certainly.
yeah. Thank you for saying that. I like this idea of power and benevolence going hand in hand, which is something that we do not have a lot of. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, John, so straighten up and fly right here at Mission Log. Damn.
Straighten up and fly right.
Well, that's why, since I was conscious, I've appreciated Star Trek for those lessons, and that's why I really appreciate the Mission Log community for everyone able to come together on Mission Log Live and on Discord to commune with those morals and philosophies.
Beautifully said, John. Thank you as always. And like Ashley said, thanks for making us look dumb. All right. Till next time. And yes, applause to that. Thank you, sir. All right. Let us jump over and say hi to Chris. I got to see Chris the other night at the Voyager doc screening, and that was so cool. Cannot wait to talk about that when more people have seen it, when it is in everybody's hands, and we can give that a deep dive. Chris, what is on your mind tonight?
Chris, I'm so glad you're here. The minute I saw
Oh.
that Miggly Moo was in this, I was like, Chris, talk
Right.
about what's going on.
Exactly. I wonder what my thoughts are going to be. I cannot imagine that what I'm going to say about. No, I loved it. It was great. Before I get into that though, this bit does not work as well because I'm not at the top of the show. But I do have an amuse-bouche, the traditional amuse-bouche.
Oh, nice. Oh, very good. We are both very amused.
So you have that.
Amused.
There we go. All right. But yeah, this was really good. Obviously, I have a deep affinity for Paul Tompkins and Miglimo and what he does as Miglimo. I will also say, but just more broadly, I really like this idea of like you are where you need to be, or you will find where you'll need to be. This idea that you don't have to do what is expected of you, that, this it's very cliche, but follow your passions, right? Miglimo doesn't want to be a chef. He wants to be a chef of the mind. Ma doesn't want to be stuck in this.
What was the line? That line was so twisted. Therapy, my good Gonald. I cook the mind.
But if you've ever been to therapy, and if you haven't, everyone needs therapy. Go to goddamn therapy.
Yes.
It does feel like that sometimes. You get the real brain scramblies by the end of it.
For real. Nice. Yes.
No, yeah, it's really good that this idea of, everyone sort of finding where they need to be, and like Brandon and some others are saying, this idea of, having this team of community. Miglimo doesn't do it on his own. He needs Tendi and Rutherford in their little maitre d' bow ties to help him make the dwarffish. Like it's all coming together. What else was I gonna say? I had another thing that I really wanted to talk about, and now I'm blanking. Oh, I remember. I really like this. It adds a kind of like retroactive depth. Think back to start of season 4. Tendi is interning with Dr. Miglimo, and she's kind of like, "Why am I stuck with this guy? He's not, like a medical doctor." But I think there's a sort of camaraderie there that these are both two people who sort of struck out from their culture. Tendi didn't want to be a pirate. Miglimo didn't want to be a food critic. So I think there was a kind of like-mindedness there that we can now kind of read back in as we go back and look at the show as a whole. So I really appreciated that.
Oh, that's so great. I love putting that perspective on it, Chris. Well said. Anything else? Any other parting shot here before you enjoy your amuse-bouche?
I definitely want to say, Chris,
before
before you go off into the wild frontier, could we get a Cloacan Star rating of the amuse-bouche?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is it's a nice artisan cracker. We've got some mint puree. And then we've also got some apricot jam. And it's quite good.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I will not eat it because I don't want to annoy Earl with my munching sounds, but I will tell you it's very good. I had a couple before in the green room.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
Thank you for your commitment to the bit. I appreciate that.
All right, take care, Chris, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
All right, be good. Earl asking from the Earl Green Room, can we see a show of hands of people who use their assassin training for food prep? That was really nice to see that little crossover for Tendi. So
not people showing hands, Alan.
Speaking of using his assassin skills, all right, Alan, what is on your mind tonight?
Well, I've only been an assassin in role playing games, so but I don't know if that qualifies or not. But it is training, so.
What kind of assassin though? Like Drow? Like, are we going like Driz Doran here? How?
Well, the last guy that I played that was a rogue was essentially a half elf. Basically, he was kind of the guy who could get the extra barrel of fish off the wharf for you if you needed it. So he's kind of a low-level smuggler.
Thank you for letting me derail the conversation entirely because I was.
Oh no, that's fine. This is why we have these things so we can
why
derail
we are
them.
the way we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. I basically gave him a name that was sort of like some weird. It was either like all of my D&D names are either Finnish words or Welsh words. So he was either the Finnish or Welsh word for scales. So I thought that was like, he's got his thumb on the scales and he is, a fish smuggler. So there you go.
Wow. You gave that some thought. I love the depth.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the things. These are the things that kept me out of the good colleges, as George Carlin once said.
They don't know what they were missing.
Yeah.
Well, what else we got tonight about Klingon farming?
Well, this episode, it's been interesting listening to the discussion so far. This one really kind of landed with me right away, in a way that I think sort of corresponds to something that John was talking about earlier, and it's kind of like it relates mostly to Ma's journey, and about his struggle to, reconnect with the things that bring him happiness. And I think part of it is, and I want to be very careful with how I say this because I love this show. It's arguably one of my favorite Star Trek shows of all time. Say nothing of the new era. But I will say that occasionally, perhaps for comedic value, some of the premises that they come up with for the dramatic impetus of the episode can be a little bit wonky.
I have no
Like-
idea what you're talking about. This is completely new discussion to me.
Like, and I'm gonna say it, and I hope I get it right, because I know if I get it wrong, you're going to correct me, John. The
I get stuff wrong all the time.
orbital lift episode from
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple seasons, yeah,
Yeah.
was based on Mariner overhearing Ransom tell Shax, well, I'm not going to have to deal with her anymore. Or something to that effect. Something that in any normal conversation has a very specific and pejorative connotation to it. But then it's like, oh no, I meant that I'm not, you're not, she's not going to be my problem anymore. And it's like, no, I'm going to excise this problem from you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but no one would ever actually say that.
Right.
But, everything that Ma was going through in this episode felt real and grounded and earned in sort of like, I don't want to work for that guy. And if that's the only way I can be a captain, then I guess I'm just, back to pulling worms out of the ground, which, looking at him in that outfit, he's Boimler.
Yeah. Yeah. He absolutely is.
He's also all of us at one point or another in our lives.
Yeah.
Hopefully for only a brief period.
But yeah, it's just that really worked for me. I loved the stuff that Chris was saying about how it's about defining the expectations of what people think you should be, or what your family or culture or whatever think you should be. That worked so well in both stories. I just it was good. I liked it a lot.
Nice. All nicely said. Well, Alan, if you've got a parting shot for us, share it now, and then we will jump over to our final caller of the evening. And if not, we'll see you next week.
I will just say that in the spirit of the Star Trek TNG VHS game, you, the one in the Cerritos shirt, you are next in line. Experience beige.
Wow. There's your intro, Cherie. Lucky you. See you next time, Alan. Bye.
Thanks, Alan. I actually had that game as a kid, and I am still sad that my mom got rid of it. It's one of my greatest sadnesses to this day.
That's always the way. Always.
So now, wait a minute. I know that there's, I guess on YouTube, there's just a playthrough of the entire tape, but surely there is a way, either with time code or whatever, that you could actually make that a playable thing.
Probably.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
It's definitely worth looking into at some point, because even if I eBayed the board, the game part, I feel like there was a board, there was other stuff involved.
Oh yes, there certainly was, and you can find it. It's quite expensive on eBay.
All right, so this could be a thing, though. We could actually do you could kind of use PowerPoint or a Keynote to just reference the time codes of the video, and then have the game board within that, so we could actually do a virtual playable. Look, I'm not saying I'm good enough to do it or have the time or the inclination. I'm just saying that it could be done.
Can be done.
Yeah. So
John Arminio, we're looking at you.
People who are smarter than us.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
Smarter
to do.
people experience beige.
Exactly. Well, what is on your mind other than Klingon board games?
So, I mean, I feel like I don't have unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say just because I liked it so much. You know how sometimes you just have more to say if you have a critique. I have no notes. And when the theme song started playing in the way that it was, I just cheered because I just loved it so much, right away. I loved that like scene and how they did it and everything. And it's funny because as much as I love Lower Decks, I love almost everything about Lower Decks. I do not enjoy the theme song. It's not my favorite.
Sheree, I don't know how to tell you
not.
you're wrong.
It's not. But the funny thing is, it took me because I dislike the theme song. It actually took me a while to figure out that the movie music, because I like all the other music in Lower Decks. Like I love every other song, everything else that they have in Lower Decks musically, great.
Yeah.
Is it
Klingon Acid Punk's inspired,
or is it the title sequence? I think it's great.
The title sequence I love. I love the
curious.
title
Okay.
sequence.
Okay.
It's literally just the song. I don't love it, and it's not that it's bad.
We
'cause,
love and
like,
respect your opinion.
It's
But
not
yeah.
that the music is bad, because like when they punched it up for the movie music, I literally didn't realize it was the theme song because I like the movie music so much. I wish the theme song was just the punched up version, the movie music version.
Like the person who defends the Enterprise theme song when they put
No,
the drums
I
underneath
hate
it
that.
in
It's an
season 4.
after I'm actually rewatching it right now. After season 2, it's an
Yeah.
abomination. That is the worst Star Trek theme song. That is the worst Star Trek theme song. Once they added the tambourine, it is an abomination and needs to be destroyed. Like
Some strong feelings were tapped into.
I love this. I don't think I've ever seen you actually angry before. And I think this is
great.
We've come, and it's honestly amazing.
It makes me so angry.
12
Like
out of 10.
we can't press the skip button fast enough. I hate that song so much. So I don't have a hatred for the Lower Decks theme song. I just don't love it. It's just
fair.
Fine. Probably because I actually really like because there was like an interview with Mike McMahon where he was talking about the musical like philosophy of the show, and he's like he didn't want it to sound like comedy music, and I really agree with that. I think that's a good idea, and I think that like all of the rest of the music in the show follows that. I don't actually feel like the theme song follows that. The theme song sounds like something that you would put. It sounds like the Galaxy Quest theme song to me. That's what it sounds like to me, and so it actually does sound like comedy music to me. None of the other music does, just the theme song, and that's why I don't love it.
Amazing. Well, look, there's nowhere to go from there unless you have some positive or constructive criticism about tonight's episode. But you said you had no notes.
Well, I mean, I do love the parallels between Ma'a and Boimler. They actually both have vineyards because, like, he makes the blood wine, and Boimler makes raisins.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And you have to imagine that on Kronos at any given time, there are a lot of people like Mach, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people who are just kind of stuck like, not everybody can be a captain. Not everybody can, be a warrior and on some mission. So you got to find yourself doing other things. And I also like I love how Maelor is portrayed. I love that he's sort of like, he's fun-loving and ambitious, but he doesn't want to work too hard. Definitely doesn't want to submit himself for pain, when it comes to these trials. He's just sort of like a normal working class dude, and I want to see more of him.
He evokes some of the more I'm gonna say pedestrian, but that doesn't quite parts of Garrick's personality when Garrick's like, yeah, but I'm like a really good tailor.
Yeah, right.
Or when you would see him like start doing the actual business of tailoring instead of spy making, and you were like, oh, that's like really charming. Like it's charming to see normal people in the world of Star Trek.
Yes, exactly. You need more of those to ground the stories and, and show what all these missions and all this exploration is really about, because it's about making sure that other people benefit from that. It's about making sure that your home world or nest world, which I thought was a great, great thing that they put in there, make sure that they benefit from these things. Because, look, why build warp-capable spaceships unless you're going to find other food to try?
Exactly.
That's why you do it. That's why we're aboard her. That's how I think Kirk's speech was really headed.
I look forward to John coming out as a Cloacan by the end of the series. I think we've all known it for a long time.
They've tapped into my Cloacan heart. Yes, yeah. Anything else tonight, Cherie, before we say goodnight?
Just to agree with what other people have said about it's really nice to see the Klingons not portrayed as like a monoculture all the time. So I think that's why Valor hits so well with a lot of people. And I just really love Ba'a, so any opportunity to see him is always great, and I'm glad that they continued his storyline.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and can't wait to see you again. Talk about the next episode. So take care. Have a good week. Until
thanks,
then.
You too. Bye.
Ashley,
John.
anything that we didn't get to? Any last thoughts on this episode?
Oh, I mean, what a treat, what a dream. It's interesting to me when we all agree that we've loved something. And I just want to say, can we all agree that there's no official pronunciation on Kahless, right? Kahless?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you're right. Speaking of Klingon things, I'm glad that we got an acknowledgement that the Klingon boob window, like that
was very funny.
Like it got called out.
Yeah.
Like it just that is now a thing that we all recognize. We realize. I love one of my favorite lines of the Cloacans was what was the guy's not? I want to call him Leghorn, but that's not right. Doesn't matter. You know,
he should be called. That's so funny, John.
but he said, "I must have died and gone to fluorescent hell."
Yeah,
was a fabulous line, and I also love that Starfleet's finest is beef loin and mac and cheese with a breaded topping. There were
no disrespect for mac and cheese with a breaded topping. 12 out of 10 every time.
No. This was so good. So a lot of great stuff here. Ashley, thank you again. All of our listeners, thank you. And with that, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production on Mission Log Live and Mission Log is by the inconceivable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from Roddenberry Podcast. If you'd like to support Mission Log directly, please do give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog. Thank you again to my co-host, Ashley. Thank you everyone who joined us live or later. We look forward to seeing you next week for more Lower Decks.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.